Good day, folks, and welcome to the Anorak Review Show with your host, the Anorak. Third time in a row this year that I've covered a Fleetwood Mac album. About a month soon after the last time I did another. So far, we had a Rumor, Saw a Mirage, and now this time, we're about to do a Tango. Although it was a shame I didn't do Bare Trees as well. Ah well, maybe next year I'll be reviewing more Fleetwood Mac albums. But right now, let's talk a bit about the history and background behind this album. After the album Mirage and the tour supporting it in 1982, most of the band members had made and released a solo album or two of their own during the little period. In fact, this album here started out as an intended third solo album by Lindsey Buckingham, the then guitarist of Fleetwood Mac. But then it soon became a Fleetwood Mac album when the other members started partaking in this. Which is a bit strange since, apart from Lindsey's previous solo album, the Mac members had at least once a song contributed to each other's solo albums in some way or another. So what made this one is something outside of me. Nevertheless, this album became a success back in 1986, spawning several singles and selling over 15 million copies worldwide. Not exactly as much as Rumors did, but still successful nonetheless. And that album would be called Tango in the Night. The cover, the copy of which I actually do have in my possession this time, is a very beautiful and exotic illustration that homages and emulates the classic paintings of French post-impressionist Henri Rousseau. In fact, a lot of elements in this artwork do seem to be appropriated from one of Rousseau's actual paintings, the Snake Charmer. And I wouldn't know if it's plagiarist or not, but being a homage, I can guess it's kind of flattering. Although, in terms of the title, I don't exactly see any tango anywhere in this cover. Although it's still kind of nice, so I guess it's something. Although I could do for an actual tango drink right now. Not bad. But back to the album, it's just as classic as many of the other past Fleetwood Mac album covers, and it definitely does fit the general mood and feeling of the music itself. And yet, there's a little tiny something or detail that I didn't even notice until much recently. If you look just closely enough, you could faintly see what seems to be a tiny spaceship or UFO just in the sky, and once you actually see it for yourself, it just sticks out. I mean, did Kang and Kodos just get lost at some point and somehow found their way here? Who knows? But let's just jump into the music itself and see if it still holds up after 35 years. We begin the album on a big start with Big Love. Fittingly, the first single of this album. Written and sung by guitarist Lindsey Buckingham, this certainly sets a general tone and mood for the majority of the album. And it does definitely sound like tango-y music, with Lindsey on guitars and utilizing a Fairlight CMI synthesizer, while John McVie and Mick Fleetwood are on bass and drums, respectively, as usual. In the first verse, as he looks out for love, Lindsey sings, in a very calm yet fragile manner, about how he'll build you, us, a particular individual, a kingdom in that house on the hill. Unfortunately, though, this would mean he would have to contend with Ed Sheeran and his castle on the hill. Then, in a very familiar and catchy chorus, he raises his voice with such active emotion as he's looking out for big, big love. So either he has a thing for overweight people, or he's into macrophilia. Feel free to look that up on your own time. Then in the middle-late section, he wakes up alone with it all and only to fall out of bed and onto the floor. It happens often. And after another chorus and a just as good guitar solo, the song culminates in this fast-stomping climax, like a really intense flamenco dance as it all collapses to a close. The song itself may seem to be about Lindsay, or someone he portrays as, being willing to give his romantic interest anything and everything, making their home practically a kingdom. At first they seem to enjoy it, but over time the relationship soon stagnates, as it seems to be more about the material value than any genuine love. And in the end, he ends up alone and he goes out looking for love all over again in this endless cycle. Some people might believe that some of the backing vocals were from Stevie Nicks herself, but actually that wasn't the case. It was actually from Lindsay himself, who altered and pitched bits of his voice to make it sound more female. In fact, neither Stevie nor Christine seemed to be involved or credited in this track at all. However, an extended 12-inch dance remix of the song does feature some actual backing vocals from Stevie Nicks, so there you go. All in all, Big Love is a big tune and a big start to this album. Next is Seven Wonders, co-written between vocalist Stevie Nicks and Sandy Stewart, who had appeared and collaborated with Stevie on some of her solo albums such as The Wild Heart, Street Angel, and Trouble in Shangri-La. This song carries on that tango-y nightlife vibe and atmosphere from Big Love while still sounding distinct in its own way. And hey, this actually has all 5 members in it, so there's that too. With her always recognizable voice, Stevie sings about a romantic relationship she had long ago, in a certain place and a certain time. Present day, present time. This person held her hand in all the way, on the way down to Emmeline, a place she made up because she misheard it in the original demo. No, really. When Sandy had recorded and showed a demo for this to Stevie without having a lyric sheet, the latter misinterpreted one of the lines, "On the way down you held the line," or something similar to that, as "On the way down to Emmeline," or Emmeline. And they just kind of went with it, really, giving Stevie a small percentage of songwriting credit in this as a result. Then at some point, this relationship either fell out or became more distant. And in the chorus, Stevie goes on to state that even if she goes out to visit all the 7 wonders of the world, make a path on the very edge and end of the rainbow, no matter what, none of it would even be or even come close to matching the beauty and intensity of that love and romance they had together. Although, if we're going by the 7 wonders of the ancient world, Stevie would be able to see the pyramids of Giza and only the pyramids, since the other 6 wonders are, well, lost to time. Sure, she may be able to see some other fitting candidates like Stonehenge, Colosseum, the Great Wall of China, the Leaning Tower of Pisa, etc. But the original 6 wonders, the actual ones, not so much luck there. And after each of the choruses, you could faintly hear Stevie singing the name of either Aaron or Sarah. It can be hard to properly decipher. However, if the latter were the case, it could likely be a callback to a previous Stevie Nicks penned Fleetwood Mac song, Sarah, from the Tusk album. Although that song was apparently named after a woman that Mick Fleetwood had an affair with at the time. That and an ideal name for a potential child that Stevie would have had with her then boyfriend, Don Henley of Eagles fame. So, make of that if you will. But anyways, this is another emotional and passionate piece of pop rock music that feels genuine and, well, wonderful. up there with the likes of Dreams and Rhiannon, and among other Stevie Nicks songs. Then we possibly have one of the more well-known tracks of this album, and Fleetwood Mac in general, Everywhere. Written and sung by keyboardist and other vocalist Christine McVie, this art rock pop song has this very fairy tale-like kind of quality to it, with its whimsical music, reminding me a bit of, say, Cloud Busting by Kate Bush, and even its simple lyrics of yearning for love and companionship anywhere and everywhere. Christine begins by asking if we could hear her calling out our name, bringing up how she's fallen and doesn't know what to say. Well, other than that she should have brought along a parachute. She'll speak a little louder, shout even, how proud she is, and yet she seems to can't get out the words. Well, she'll have to get them out sooner and shout them out loudly since, again, considering how far and fast she's friggin' falling. And of course, that beautiful chorus with its heavenly backing vocals and Christine singing simply and straightforward that she wants to be with us, or one person, everywhere. The realization that she may have fully discovered true love for the very first time. Or that she's a stalker, take a pick really. And in the second verse, she sings how something's happening to her and that her friends say she's acting rather peculiar. But me, though, I say it's just all part of growing up. She then begs us to better make a start and make soon before we end up breaking her heart. I think she actually means by this is that she's going through some open heart surgery and we apparently need to get a move on with it. As if we're actual even experts on such a subject or such a field. Jokes aside though, this is another fantastic song from Fleetwood Mac. It's mysterious, it's romantic, it's unique, it's something else entirely. It's a song I could listen to anywhere. After that is Caroline. Also written by Lindsay. This is possibly one of my favourites of his Fleetwood Mac songs, and one of my favourite Fleetwood Mac songs in general. It's tribal sounding Phil Collins-esque drums, and exotic, almost Indian sounding melodious female backing vocals, and the groovy guitars just shine through for me. And like with the other tracks so far, the verse and chorus lyrics are quite minimal yet wide for interpretation. The first verse goes on about how this particular woman, named Caroline, and how she's so crazy and so lazy, in that she's crazy enough to perform water ski jumps over bloodthirsty sharks, and yet she's lazy enough not to help me move the sofa or change the bed sheets. And then he says that she keeps you running and she keeps on coming. Must be a Bob show on that last bit. Then in the chorus, he and a few harmonious vocals sing the name of Caroline with such gravitas and such enthusiasm, over said tribal sounding drums and some euphoric synths, as well as how time recedes with the fatal drop and with dusty fury on a mountaintop. Then he tells to cut the cord if we can. Oh no, not an umbilical cord, no, he meant by cutting the extension lead. And in the second verse, Lindsay describes Caroline as being so cagey and so stagey, as if she's so ragey. Or basically, she just doesn't want Lindsay to know that she's very prone to stage fright. Then he says she's so attractive and so reactive. Now I'm attractive and reactive. That might be good. The song in question is apparently based from, inspired by, and loosely named after Carol Ann Harris, Lindsay's then girlfriend from 1976 to 1984. So once again, we have another Fleetwood Mac song that's about one of the members having a fling with someone else. At this point, they might all well be polyamorous. Then we come to the title track itself, Tango in the Night. Yet another one from Lindsay, This one, along with Big Love and Caroline, were initially written to be part of a third solo album by Lindsey Buckingham, but he would bring them over to Fleetwood Mac. This one starts off with a pretty serene synth note, painting this otherworldly realm. Not exactly night nor day either. Then we hear the strum of what might be a lap harp or a Celtic harp, immediately following which is Lindsay's ghostly vocals, telling us to listen to the wind on the water and the waves upon the shore. Which I could, except I wouldn't know because, well, I don't speak wind. But I could break it. Lindsay tries to sleep, yet sleep would come just as he begins to fade. So, was this the secret origin and inspiration for the Faithless Insomnia song? Which is another great track, by the way. And then he says how he keeps a dream in his pocket, which seems pretty nifty and useful when you think about it. Hope he packs his dreams inside Pokeballs so they can be more compact or something. And of course, there's that chorus, which is built up quite well, I must add, as Lindsay kind of recollects a time when the moon was full and bright, at least as long as there weren't any werewolves about or anything. He would take this person into the darkness and, well, do a little tango in the night. Which, no doubt means having a little, as Malcolm McDowell would put it, a bit of the old in out, if you catch my drift. And hopefully they'll have that little tango, just as long as there aren't any point disrupted by Kang and Kodos in their UFO like in the cover. This, along with the other Buckingham pen songs, Big Love and Caroline, were initially written, like I said, for a solo album by Lindsay himself, but he decided to have them with his fellow band members instead. And like with Big Love, Stevie Nicks is seemingly absent, of course, but unlike that one, this actually does have Christine McVie in it on some synths and keyboards, so inclusive, I guess? However, in this case, such absence gave Lindsay a bit more liberty and creativity to expand more on the palette of sounds for Fleetwood Mac, including the likes of tinkering xylophones, tambourine strikes, and kind of gira scrapes, which all add little layers and details into the track itself as a whole, which I actually kind of like. And then after a quiet little bit of the second chorus, we get a pretty epic and immense guitar solo for the remainder of the song before it all fades out. This is another underrated song from Fleetwood Mac and a really worthy title track, up there with Task, Future Games, and Heroes Are Hard to Find. Side 1 ends with Mystified, co-written by Lindsay and Christine, so 2 Fleetwood Mac members to write one song. There's nothing too special to say about this one, however, but it's still a very romantic song nonetheless. Over some euphoric synths and backing vocals, as well as mixed, more subdued percussion this time, Christine has a bit of Roy Orbison-esque delivery to both her vocals, her lyrics, and even a bit of the music itself. Especially when she sings Pretty Baby and Pretty Darling, reminding me a bit of the song Pretty Woman. Here, this time, she sings about a peculiar feeling she has that's deep inside, and one that she just can't hide. A female boner, if you will. And in what could be considered another verse of sorts, and possibly the only one of such, she mentions how the light that shines around this person she's mystified in question blinds her eyes. So she has palinopsia, apparently. And then there's a magic that surrounds said love interest, and she demands to know what their secrets lies. Where their secrets lie, no less. If I were to guess, I'd say it lies somewhere in L'Oreal Palace. Surely they must be the source to all true beauty. And as with the previous track, this too has a pretty sweet guitar solo in it, although much more Mediterranean, more calm, more tropical in a way. And it more or less acts as the second verse, playing the same melody and all. So I guess it saves having to write lyrics. All in all, well, there's not really too much to say, maybe seen as filler, but it's still a very sweet and, well, mystifying song, and a fine enough ender to the first half of the album.